Right at it. Right at it. Oh,
Jordan
he's
Spieth.
done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
We are back with another episode of the Go Get That podcast. It's been many moons since our last episode 134. Going at it for over 3 years now. Correct? Or am
More
I?
years than wins.
Yes, correct. Average is starting with a 0 point per year. So we have a bunch of questions that we got from Instagram, Twitter, Jordan's mine. Dan was a working man today. But he's excited, I'm sure, to talk Jordan Spieth and golf in general.
Yeah.
I think we all are. I'm excited for the new season, a new hope. Many would say. It seems as of right now, there's no pain in the wrist, which is good, which means no more excuses for poor play. So, looking forward to the one under round at Monterey Peninsula to open up the year, and that's how we will. That's where we will start. But Jordan, you can open us up with the first question, unless Dan, you'd like
Yeah,
to
I'll
make a comment.
Real quick.
Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, sorry, I don't know if that was too loud. Anyway, so he's starting at Pebble, we think.
I don't know.
I
I mean, it's one of two events, I would
know
think.
some people said Sony. Mr. Spieth is known to take a vacation every now and again. I would hope that he doesn't consider the Sony a vacation. I wouldn't be surprised to see Farmers. I'm going to throw that out there, get us started. But yeah, I don't have
Interesting.
anything more to add, even though I know he said he's never going back there.
I mean,
But I feel like he's not his game. I mean, God, we're so far away from winning golf tournaments, but I don't think like Torrey Pines is that unsuitable for his game that we saw last year in terms of driving the golf ball. But to be honest, like who knows what to expect this year.
I do genuinely think the game we saw last year is not the game we're going to see this year.
That would be nice in a lot of respects.
I would expect the iron play to be significantly better this year. I'd expect that with that, the driver game to fall off a bit purely because his iron game improves. But the story of every season is, can the putter get hot at the right moments? He's going to need it because it's been bad.
We're going on 2 years of recession.
Yeah, and we were almost out of the recession, and Dan kept us in it. He was like, "Well, we're
Smartly.
still," and
Wisely.
he was correct. The curve was going up, and then very much down. But again, I have an open mind going into the new season. Again, he says he has no pain. This is an injury that I believe there is another big golfer that's had it. I forget the exact person, but I believe this injury, it's a pretty serious procedure, I'm pretty sure. We don't know what he's going to look like. I believe there's evidence of people not being the same person after this and people being maybe even better than they were before. So a lot of up in the air types of things with this recovery. So I'm going in with an open mind the new season. I will assess the situation after the West Coast swing. But again, we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Well, he can't get worse than last year.
Well, that's very
So-
I think.
Yeah, I mean, the bar is pretty low going into this year, coming off last year. Golf year. But yeah, welcome back to all our viewers. We were trying to figure out going into this podcast what episode it was. We had no clue.
Wow.
It's 134, as Bob said. It's been 4 months since we've had an episode.
Yeah,
So
we
it's-
tried to do some episodes over the fall, and at the end of the day, there was not much motivation and not much availability. We've all been very busy.
Yeah.
We're all getting older, more responsibilities in life. Dan is,
Got a collared shirt on right now.
yep,
Yeah,
straight from the office.
yeah, I have
Um,
paychecks and bills to pay.
yep.
Uh, but you mentioned 4 months since the last episode. It's also been 8 months since you didn't have to scroll down the leaderboard to find Mr. Spieth's name on it after that first page. Last top 10, Mr. Valero. Many, many moons ago.
Yes. I wonder if Mr. Spieth is trying to keep the streak going for a full year.
That would be impressive. That would be very impressive. I'm sure that's something that, he'd be he'd be proud of that.
I'm sure he would.
Because it is quite a career achievement. But anyway, I'd say let's get into these questions. I'm ready to
We can fire. I got like about 10 to 15. I'm trying to figure out what would
I'm
be a
sure there
good
will be
one.
some overlap between
Yeah,
ours as well. So, I mean,
yeah,
we'll
for
probably just
sure.
alternate. Jordan's going to start. He's going to pick one.
Yeah, this is a good
Um,
one. This was from my buddy George on Instagram. Shout out to George. How many events should we give him to shake all the rust off?
That's a great
Uh,
question.
he says 3 to 4 reasonable. I guess I'll give a response first. I'd really hope it doesn't take 3 to 4. I mean, his recovery period I think was 12 weeks, and I know that he could chip and putt a lot before he could actually hit golf balls, which I guess makes sense. So I assume there's been a lot of work done on the short game and the putting. I'm sure we'll get into it where he'll end up starting, where we all think he'll start, but it's
Yeah.
kind of why I think he should not start until the Pebble, or he should start before Pebble. Just use an event maybe before to shake rust off. Because if you start at Pebble, that's a signature event. Like that's a big boy event, and then you got Waste Management, which isn't signature, but they'll have a pretty good field, and then Genesis in the third week. So do you really want to use 2 signature events plus the Waste Management as tune-up events? I don't really know.
Well,
So
my take on this is unfortunately, even without injury, Mr. Spieth uses the first events of the year as shake off the rust events. So, and now he's starting later than he usually does. So, how many are acceptable? I don't think any are acceptable to necessarily shake off the rust. If he's going to have to shake off the rust of tournament play, and that's fine. But he shouldn't have to shake off the right. He should be playing and working very hard for a few months before he tees it up on the PGA Tour. He should not be trying to get back into the groove of swinging a golf club at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Um,
is it still Pro-Am?
Some late night range sessions with Jake
Yes.
Owen to solve the swing issues.
Correct. So I don't know. I think that like if he goes T38 at Pebble and then T19 at the Waste Management, I'm okay with that. If there's improvement, but I'm not gonna have him go T38 and then miss the cut at Waste Management and be like he's rusty and give that as an excuse. I don't think that's acceptable.
Yeah, I think there's levels.
There's levels. Yeah.
Like there should be
Important to add, he'll be
zero.
a Pebble due to a sponsor's exemption. Let's not
Right.
forget that.
There should be zero rust in the golf swing. I'll give him 1 week to shake off rust of tournament play. I think there's something to be said of rust when it comes to contention, because as we've mentioned, it's been many moons since it's been about a year actually since he could have in theory won a golf tournament century of last year, unless there's another close call in there. I don't think so. What, it was a T6 at Phoenix last year, was pretty pathetic if you look back on it. So
he was hurt.
Fair enough. I don't disagree with that. I think but no rust on the golf swing. There should be a week of rust of tournament play, and there will probably be a little bit of self-doubt, I think, when it comes to contention. But he should be flying. Like he should be ready to play. He just spent 12 weeks recovering from a surgery. If you truly love this game, he will be roaring to play, and he does. I believe that. So, there
Yeah,
shouldn't be. You know, I don't think you'll see. I don't think after the first week you can chalk mistakes up to tournament rust. I think it's just that's a bad decision and a bad golf shot. Would be my take on all that. But
yeah,
it's a fair question.
Yeah.
I'd give him a. That's
I'd
kind
say
of my
yeah, I'd
answer.
say 2 to 3 weeks max. And I mean, he had the surgery approximately August 24th, so it's been 4 months at this point, and it'll be what 4.5 or 5 months, when he first tees it up since he got surgery. So he should be nearly ready to go.
Yeah, and again, like he says, he has no pain in the wrist right now. So we do. Spieth is a very, um, well, simply put, feeble mental player. So the fact that he's gone the last year with swing doubts because of the wrist, that's going to be, I think, definitely a reason to look forward to this season. If he does have no pain in the wrist, he won't have to think about it before the shot, and we know that someone like Spieth definitely lets that affect him. So if that's not affecting him, that's a big bonus because him overthinking shots is what's got him into trouble his entire career, and not having to do that is a big step in the right direction. So yeah, if there's no pain in the wrist, I think he should be ready to start flying right away. I mean, Pebble and Waste Management are two events he plays really well. Um, Not going to really care too much about the result at the Genesis, but he
Really?
should he shouldn't be getting he shouldn't be just hanging around the cut line at Pebble or I don't even know if there's a cut at either of them. I haven't really looked at the schedule that in depth. I've been pretty out of the loop, but um he should be able to compete. When it comes to contention, I agree with Dan. That's definitely a level of rust that you have to knock off. And if the first time he's in contention, he comes in the second place, that's just something you gotta something you gotta deal with. But uh, yeah, I think he should be ready to at least compete to his level right away as soon as he starts.
I think that's fair.
Um,
It's nice of you to give him a second place at some point this season.
I was about to
well,
say that's
it's
really
generous.
nice. That
No, it's
sounds
very
really
Generous.
generous
generous
on
because
out.
the more, I've tried to been thinking about other things recently in life, including how great Drake May is, but like last season was horrendous. Like
Yeah,
really, really bad. If you look at the
arguably his
results,
worst.
the green boxes, as I mentioned, were minimal, and there wasn't any serious chance to win. And it will be over a year since there was a serious chance to win. Um, and so there's gonna be a lot to kind of readjust to, but um,
Yeah,
it's been impressive.
I'm pretty sure the only event last year that he held the lead at the end of a round, he actually missed the cut at. Um, so that's just not going to get it done. Um, but again, I think that there's reasons to be positive going forward, and we'll see. We will see. A million different people ask me this, so I'm just going to get this out of the way. I'm not even going to count this as one of the questions, but people are asking like when his debut is. A lot of people are asking if he's going to play Sony. I'd say the chances are low. I'd say the chances of him playing Sony and Farmers are both the same. Probably around 5 to 10%.
Better
I'm not
not
gonna.
show up at Amex.
What?
Said he better not show up at the American Express. I will boycott. That's just a.
That ain't happening.
I don't like that event.
I don't know
Um,
if I'd hate that. I think I'd probably make the trip.
well, you could make the trip.
Yeah,
Shot
I'd
Tracker only
enjoy it
makes
for
the
the
trip
purpose
to
of that.
one
I'd
course.
I'd probably make the trip.
Yeah. Okay. So Bob will
Uh,
enjoy it. The rest of us won't.
but
Unless it's a thrust, which it won't be.
it won't be.
I'm
But
gonna stick with Farmers as a bold take. I don't have much belief in it, but that'll be my
I'm
answer.
pretty confident. It's just Pebble. Spieth isn't necessarily a what's the word? I don't know what the word is, but he's not one to play the extra tournament. That's for sure. So
Yeah, after last year, why would you?
That's fair.
I I think 5 to 10 is a little low. I think if I really think it over, I think Pebble's the most likely, which pisses me off. But I'd watch out for Sony. The father of two kids, take the whole family down for a vacation, play a little bit of golf. That seems like something he might do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
see Farmers. I don't see it.
he's
Amex, I
probably
give like zero chance. But he's played Sony multiple times, and he's
yeah,
had
and
a
he's
couple
got to
decent
be
finishes there. Um, to me, it just does not make sense for him to start at Pebble, and I think he's going to. I think it's the likeliest option, but you haven't played I mean, you haven't played
I
competitive golf in a long time. That's before August, since he's really been competitive. You might as
I
well.
I completely agree. I don't. At the end of the day, you're Spieth is. I hate. I love the Sony or I like the Sony. Every year is his first event. I think that Kapalua it's just horrible prep because he shoots 20 under and
Yeah.
believes that his game's in a great spot, even though he loses by 15 shots. And then he goes to Sony and doesn't feel like he needs to work on anything. And then it's a bad start to the season. I'd be fine if he never plays Kapalua again. And frankly, it's possible. But um I love Sony's a very basic golf course, but it's short on the shorter end, but it's a lot of golf shots you'll hit at other courses. Farmers is a little bit on the tougher side than what he'll see in the ensuing weeks, but
Yeah,
yeah,
mean,
I every
I look
year
at the
Pebbles,
schedule and I see
yeah,
Sony in 2 weeks off and then three.
yeah,
Like, why would you start with three? I mean, you just got off a major
and
procedure.
and
See how it goes first.
Every year Pebble's one of his best chances on the schedule.
Yeah.
So why waste one of those as his warm up event? Um,
Yeah.
so
It's a
I
signature
think
event. Yeah, it's a big boy event. I mean,
I
it's
think
for you
he's
got what 700 FedEx Cup points. I mean, he needed FedEx Cup points last year, so
yeah, I think he's definitely chomping at the bit to get back. And I think that's like my only reason for Farmers is I don't want to fly to Hawaii. Let me just go to California instead. But
that would be on
that's an
brand.
interesting thought.
that's my
He
last
likes
take
the
on
beach
that.
though.
I think we're all pretty much in consensus that there's a very reasonable I think the odds on favorite is he starts at Pebble. And I think if we had to put money on that, that's where our money would go.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Um, but the first actual like question about his game and stuff. Thoughts on his chances at the major courses this year, specifically Royal Portrush. Mr. Zeev asked.
Mr.
Um,
Zeev. That's
shout out,
awesome to hear
Mr.
from Mr.
Zeev.
Zeev.
Um, yeah, it's an interesting rotation this year. I mean,
can
I
rule
I
off Mr. Mont.
I don't even know what Mr. Ott has in store for him because on one end, the way he plays 4 footers kind of works there. You kind of have to play 4 footers outside the hole, but another thing is if he misses on the low side, he's going to be three putting from 4 feet all week, and he does that a lot. So I don't know. Oakmont's very hit or miss for me. I don't see any chance at Quail Hollow. It's just not.
Oh man.
I think I just don't think it's a place Jordan Spieth's gonna win a major at. It's I don't think it's a good course in general. But that's just
I'd agree
me.
with that, but
He puts the greens well, which is nice. But
He
so who
won't that
knows?
week.
Maybe I'm a little too harsh on him at Quill Hollow. Maybe there are worse for him at PGAs.
True.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I was a little harsh at the start on that.
I mean,
Quill,
LT wins are very low, let's be honest.
yeah, very low, but it's not zero.
It's
I do
close.
well, yeah.
Very close.
I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts as well.
Uh Matt, we know Augusta can win there. I think any open venue he can win at. It's if he's playing well, he can play well at any open venue. Oakmont, no chance. It's just not gonna happen. And I think Quail Hollow of like all the PGA venues, like he's got some good vibes there, obviously from the President's Cup. It's unlikely, let's be completely obvious, but I mean, compared to, I guess, like other PGA venues, like it's not terrible. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. The majors with Jordan is kind of the same every year, to be honest, for the most part, unless you get like a Pebble US Open. Like the US Open's always going to be tough, obviously. PGA same way, and then the other two, if he's playing well, probably contend. So
Problem
I
with
would.
Pebble U.S. Opens for Spieth is that Spieth plays well there at the ATT and
just the
feels like he's
easier.
in a great spot for the U.S. Open, even though they're two completely different golf
Fair.
tournaments.
I think you guys have touched on it pretty well. Oakmont is going to be a struggle. That has to be like an all-time week in one of the categories to even be relevant there. Uh, I think Quail, my take on the PGA is that I think anybody could win in a sense that which I think makes it probably the worst major of the four typically,
Yeah,
is that
yeah, no, I agree.
most of the courses I mean, this one obviously is just a PGA Tour course, but it's like if you're playing well at a major championship and if you're playing well leading into the PGA, there's a pretty darn good chance you're going to play well there. So Spieth is playing well leading into the PGA, you know, setting the mental shenanigans aside. I think he could play well there, like because he played well at the P Cup, and he's made
Yeah.
putts there. It's just so I wouldn't um toss it away like I am Oakmont, but I think I would say the same thing for any PGA going forward is like, yeah, if you're playing well, you can win. Obviously, Masters Open, yeah, he'll be fine. If he's playing well, he
Yeah.
could win.
I
But again, playing well is something we haven't seen in 18 months, almost 24 months. Like it's a level of playing well that just hasn't existed for a long time. So just to kind of, take that all of playing well with a bit of a grain of salt.
I have
Yeah.
just received, and right, this is incredible timing from this man, but I've just received an iMessage from Mr. Schlehuber with invisible ink stating that Spieth is 50-1 to win at Portrush, to win the Open Championship.
Sounds like a bet I'd make.
Yeah.
It's tough to
You
go
put
against
funds
that.
on that. It's not
Yes,
getting worse,
it, yeah,
I
I don't
think.
know. I mean, Spieth's creativity alone can get him in contention at a course like that, I think. Especially if he's confident around the greens. He doesn't have that wrist issue to deal with.
That number can't get worse, can it?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I've said that like 3 times. I don't think right now Augusta's the greatest course fit for him. I think the Open is his best chance. Um, and that stinks because 3, 4, 5 years ago, even when he was playing bad, you'd think he was going to grab 2, 3 Masters in his career. But I think
Yeah.
every year for the last few years and going forward, at least unless he changes his play style, the Open's going to be his best chance every year. And Portrush is a course I think he can win at. It's nice that it's at the end of the year. He has plenty of time to get the rust off if that's how long it takes. But yeah, I think Portrush is definitely his best chance because that's what Mr. Zeev said.
Yeah.
And 50 to
It's
1 is definitely a good bet, I'd say.
yeah.
It's a great
It's
number,
sad.
Mr. Schlaver. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's sad to think, but that's a good point, Bob, because Spieth has made the cut at Augusta once in the last 3 years.
I think
That's
that's
the
just
same
a not hitting the center of the club face problem.
that's the same number as Olafable. Like like he's one of the Masters has-beens and legends. He'll be fine at Augusta this
It's
year.
always great to see them get invited back.
Yes. It's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing he got the one green jacket.
Yeah.
Um
I wanted to touch on one thing before we moved on. Speaking of Quail Hollow, the thing that makes majors great that having tournaments at courses like Quail Hollow take away from you is that Um, there's really only 10 people who can usually win a major, and usually 8 of those are the same, and then 2 are like people just playing the best golf of their life. And it takes a lot for it's the beauty of why there aren't a lot of fluke major winners. It's because you have to really capitalize on every opportunity you're given, and at the end of the day, this just brings in it's a course where almost the entire field is going to be able to win of PGA Tour professionals, not necessarily the PGA pros, but
Like
um,
Block.
well, I've crossed him off my list. But it's at the end of the day, Scheffler's probably going to win. But
Yeah, that's the good bet.
yeah, it's probably it's a course that everyone can win at, and Scheffler's probably going to.
Yeah.
Um, but we can move on, Jordan, if you have.
Yeah, I got one that
Perfect.
I got a pretty simple answer to, but it's a good question. Could Jordan's surgery offer more mental reassurance than anything it aids physically? And I think that's a yeah.
Yes.
If you see Bob,
Yes.
absolutely. I think that's
Big
probably what
yes.
the biggest issue was this year.
Biggest.
I mean, he was worried every time he'd make contact with the ground. And I mean, he kind of alluded to that. So, yeah, absolutely.
It's a good question.
We saw shots get hit last year that professionals shouldn't have in the bag. Um, and that's because there was doubt in every inch of his swing, that involved making contact with the ground. It's why he worked so hard all year on the driver, and it ended up working out. He drove the ball like an absolute stallion all year. Um, but it's like there were some iron shots that were just bailouts, and I think that mentally it's going to be way more reassurance than anything physically, because at the end of the day, he did talk about how there were days where he didn't have any pain and still had that doubt lingering in the back of his mind. So yeah, I think the answer to that question is 100% yes.
Yeah.
Nothing more to add.
Yeah, good question. You want to go another one, Bob, or you want to go?
I'll find one here.
Okey-doke.
Is the career Grand Slam unrealistic at this point?
What a
It's
great
always been
question.
unrealistic.
I'd argue there's really no way for it to be unrealistic given what the PGA is. I think even at the end of his career, he could win. He could just pick off a PGA. If he had the U.S. Open to go, it would be pretty close, I'd say.
I would just take any major at this point.
Yeah. Would you sign for 4 career majors?
I had a question for Mr. Boardman, actually. Another friend of
Wow.
the channel asking, Vegas puts the line for Spieth ending at 3.5 majors over under. I mean, I don't want to sign for 4, but uh I think he'll finish closer to 4 than he will 6, probably. Um, he's 31. Like he's
Yeah.
slowly
He's
but surely
getting old.
he's getting
He's got
old.
6. He's got probably 24 majors left. 20,
Wow.
28 majors left. I mean, you throw in a few more here and there, but and that's assuming he's healthy for all of them. So it's kind of like time's a ticking on these
Yeah,
a
if
little
you're
bit.
being
I'm gonna say he picks off one more. So I would take the over, but I'm also just an optimist in that way because I want to see. I think I would sign for 4.
I would too. And honestly, I was thinking about this, and here's my reason. I don't think that at the end of at the end of his career, he's not. We've kind of passed the point where he's going to. Uh, I don't want to say we're past the point where he's going to be what we thought he had the potential to be, but like he's really not going to be. There's really no path to him being Phil anymore. He'd have to completely resurrect his career. And if you sign for 4, there's probably a 0 to 5% chance that that's a U.S. Open. So that brings into play probably a 20% chance that it's a 20% chance it's a PGA, which is the Career Grand Slam, and that would be insane. But if he wins 4 or 5, regardless, there's a real chance that he doesn't win again. And whether it's 4 or 5, I think that the excitement and fulfillment we'd feel by watching him win again, especially if it's towards the later ends of his career and he wins one at like 38. I mean, that would be
You have like
that would be
5 kids by then.
The Sunday live pod, we go crazy.
that would be pretty epic. But yeah, that's my take. I really don't think I don't really know what we're looking for out of his career anymore, which kind of stinks. But I don't think there's that much of a difference between 4 and 5 majors for me. If that means if the alternative is taking a chance on not winning again. So
Well, if 5 gets past McIlroy, that's massive. That's huge.
That's massive for the agenda.
That would be so chills. All the chills.
true. This is true. This is true.
So,
And we know that McIlroy would certainly sign for 5 because he's fighting his own battles
right.
in majors. But
Yeah, that's well said.
so yeah.
We're next question.
Yeah, you can go.
I got a couple similar ones, but expectations for the upcoming season and a successful baseline for this year.
What'd you say?
Expectations for the year and a successful baseline for the year.
Yeah, we can also tag in best chance at a win to that one as well. We can kind of go around the loop.
Yeah.
Jordan, you can start.
He's
That was
31,
my next
so
question. What?
like he's 31 years old. So at this point, like we're not building towards next year. He's got I don't care if coming off surgery or not, he's got to, as we like to say, sack up and just play some good golf. Dan said he's got what, maybe 28 more majors left, and 4 of them are going to be this year. So a baseline for a successful 2025, we got to start with a win because no year is successful without a win. And then
Well,
we haven't
I
talked
believe
about
that
the
2
Ryder
years
Cup yet.
I believe that there are plenty of years that don't include a win that Mr. Spieth would deem successful, but
well, that's fair. We haven't talked about the Ryder Cup yet. We're probably over half an hour in. That's obviously got to be a baseline for successful years to get on that team.
I think that's what I said.
And he's probably going to need a captain's pick again, but yeah, that's kind of the way he's been. But he's already so many points behind. But I do think points are doubled this year, so if you play well, you could probably get on. But that's for a successful baseline. I guess expectations for this season, I genuinely have no clue. I mean, I think he said when he got this wrist surgery, like the problem first started in 2018. Can anyone fact check me on that?
I mean, that's when he first had the wrist.
Yeah, so I mean,
bothered. This is different slightly, but that wrist is
I think Bob
thanks for 6 years to fix it.
exactly, which is wonderful. I think Bob said at the beginning, I think he'll go as far as the putter carries him. If he putts well, I think it'll be a good year.
Yeah,
As simple as that.
and what do you think's his best chance at a win?
Lord. It's got to be sometime after, or like the April-ish. Would it be bad if I just said Colonial?
no. I mean,
Might be too hard of a golf course for him if it plays tough.
but he might make putts there. That's the thing. Is like,
Yeah.
it's an interesting one. I mean,
Maybe the Valspar if he plays
I was
there
gonna say
again.
Valspar. Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be a cool place to.
I mean, even in the depths of his game, even last year, I think he
made it around Valspar somehow. No, I actually missed the cut at Valspar last year.
Yes, he did miss the cut.
But
well
the
maybe
year before,
well, we're not gonna talk about.
yeah, we don't have to. I was gonna say I've been trying to think of like what my baseline for success is. Sadly, because he's just hasn't been good. I'm not sure that I can say.
Missed the cut by 1, so he was close.
I'm not sure that I can say that a win like defines a successful year. I think making the Ryder Cup team, whether it's on his own merit or through a captain's pick, that's a deserved captain's pick. means that the rest of the year panned out pretty well.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what I'll set it at. And then the expectation, frankly, when he's been healthy, he's been since the kind of resurge in 21, he's been a top 15 player in the world. And I know that some of that has been with some live guys out, but my expectation is that if he is truly healthy, he will again be a top 15, 20 player in the world.
Yeah.
By just based on the year.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, where I'm at. And frankly, 20 seems a little generous. Like, I think he will be a top 15 player in the world this year if he's healthy.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of stand on all that.
My expectations sit at I expect him to, if healthy, of course, just be someone who looks like he can win all year. Like there were times last year where he went into weeks with genuinely a 0% chance of winning. And if he's healthy, that should never happen. He's too talented of a player to be fully healthy, and you can have bad stretches of the season, but it can't be an entire season without good stretches. There has to be good stretches at some point. That's my expectations. He doesn't have to win 6 times, but there have to be good stretches in the season. If there's a problem, he's got to know how to fix it, and he's got to be proactive about it. Because he hasn't done that in the past. And again, as Jordan said, and I'm sure Spieth knows this, he's the clock is ticking. He's not the young man that he once was. I mean, he is already well into double digits into his career. He's not the young rising star anymore. So yeah, he's got to be proactive about the decisions he makes. You don't have the rest of your life to win golf tournaments, and the further down, the closer you get to 40, the less of a chance it gets. Purely because of just the physical abilities that you'll be hindered by. But those are my expectations. I don't have any statistical ones because I don't really know what we're gonna see. But if he's healthy, I expect him to have really, really, really high level top 10 looking stretches of the season. And if there are bad ones, that's fine. But there have to be ones where he's a genuine threat and people fear him on the leaderboard, which he hasn't been in a while. And then best chances to win, I'd probably say Valspar just because the field probably won't be that good. But the baseline has to be the Ryder Cup team. You got to make that team. You can't.
Yeah, I would think that's probably his number one goal.
Yeah, you can't miss again 2 teams in a row. It just can't happen.
This team really matters.
Yeah.
Montreal, like the President's Cup.
Yeah, whatever. Beth Page gotta show up, show out.
Yeah.
It's a good question though.
Yeah. You want me question, Bob, or you?
I'll find one. We just went over the goals. Are you betting Jordan Spieth to win the Masters right now at 33-1? Or are you waiting to see how he plays? Well, I unfortunately already have bet him at 33-1.
There you go.
But I also suffer from a crippling disease. That is betting on Spieth and betting on teams I root for. I do think 33-1 is a good number on him. I don't think it gets better. I think that at the end, every year the Masters is kind of the same way. There's really only 10 to 12 people who can win that event, and Jordan's usually on that list, even if he's on the lower side of it. And he's definitely not top 10 to 12 on the odds board right now. So I'd grab that while you can. If you're going to bet him, if you're not going to bet, I don't think not betting him's a bad play. But if you're going to bet him, I'd probably grab that number. I don't think it's going to get worse.
If it gets better, it's because he's not playing well. So
I don't even. Yeah,
take the 33.
Yeah, I'd take it for sure if you're going to bet him.
I think Jordan said it pretty well. Like if he's playing well enough to win the Masters, it's going to not be 33. It's going to be 12 or 14 or 16. And if he's playing not well enough to win the Masters, it'll be 50 or 60. But
Yeah.
at that point, it's like he's not going to win the Masters. So
Yeah, and 33 is nuts. Like I know Bob said his best chance going forward is going to be the Open, which I don't think I disagree with, but like he's just played poorly at Augusta because he's not hit the center of the club face. Like if he's hitting the center of the club face, he's probably going to play well as long as he putts, somewhat respectably. But I got another question. With the wrist surgery done, how confident are you that his short game will be back?
Very, I'd say. Um, Putting is going to be up in the air. I mean, who knows? He's very stubborn with his putting, but I mean, he truly is naturally gifted around the greens, and it's something that didn't leave him even in his worst parts. Besides last year, obviously, where his wrist was really affecting that part of his game. But even in besides last year, the worst parts of his career, his short game has still been highlight reel stuff. On like it's why when he was playing bad, he was always just the grinder. He was just getting away with the most insane shit because he wasn't hitting the ball anywhere close to well, and he was just making more pars than he probably deserved. And I think that's probably the best thing here is his short game's going to be massively improved from last year. Last year was horrific. If he had a straightforward chip up the hill, you just knew for a fact it was going to be 15 feet short every time. Um, and I think that's something that he's probably been working on because I'm pretty sure he's been chipping for at
A
least a month
while now,
now.
yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
yeah, I think it's definitely better. I and would hesitate to say it reaches the levels that it has in years past. I'm just hoping it's more effective. Like I don't know if he'll some of that kind of short game stuff is really like the crazy saves and whatnot. They're always impressive. I would bet that those go down a little bit and that we see more proper like standard shots. Um and that levels out to better but not uh totally elite, I guess is what I'll kind of end as my prediction for.
Yeah. No, I'm on data golf right now. Last year was the worst short game year of his career. So Bob kind of said it. I think Spieth said it when he was on Colt Knost podcast. Like he's been chipping and putting for a while now. Like I fully, as Bob, he's gifted. Like I fully expect that to be much improved. Um, yeah, have confidence in that. But who knows? I
Yeah,
mean, it could be a letdown. I mean, who knows? Not that it'll be worse than last year, but like,
it really can't get worse.
um, yeah, it can't get worse. But like, I mean, he just had surgery on his wrist. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he's not confident anymore. Who knows? Like, it'll be interesting. Like, it's gonna be a fun year to go into because like he hasn't played golf in 4 months, hasn't played competitive golf in a while, and he's fixing a problem that he's had for the last 6 years. So who the heck knows? It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Really, at the end of the day, like nobody knows. He could just never be Spieth again.
Yeah, Bob
That
said that
was
at the
even
beginning. Like, who
Yeah,
knows?
and that was even without wrist injury, even without wrist surgery. That's kind of just his thing, right? But I believe in the talent, and I actually really think he wants to play.
Does
And so
too.
I think
And
we'll see some pretty good stuff. It's at pretty early this year, to be honest. Will it be
and
sustainable? Who knows?
and this sort of gets me a little bit giddy. Because honestly, we joked last year all the time about how he didn't seem like he wanted to be out there, and we didn't think that we thought his priorities were in other areas. I think that the wrist was putting a lot of doubt into his mind for one, and two, I just think that however the wrist was hindering him, he wasn't playing good golf. I just don't think he was having fun. Playing golf. I think he was getting to the golf course every week, with trying to do something that wasn't win. Whether it was work on this, try and stay focused on this or that, but I think that he misses just going to tournaments, being like, okay, dominate the field. And I think that pain-free could free that up again. And I do think he's eager to play if the pain really is gone, and I think he wants. I think he knows that was hindering him, and that this could be a big change positively, especially mental, because we know how mental of a player that he is. So yeah, I'm really excited, and hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me. But
Not having to worry about their wrist on a weekly basis. I mean, he talked about it, what happened at Troon, like the thing popped out of the socket or something, and he's like freaking out. Like, not having to
Yeah.
worry about that's gonna help. I mean, what other like, does the motivation get better than, I think he's probably tired of getting his ass kicked by Scotty on a weekly basis by 15 to 20 shots. Like, I think that in itself should be enough motivation to, like, I'm not the top Texan anymore. Like, I'm
not even
sure,
close.
yeah, I'm sure deep down, we all have an ego, and I'm sure he's thinking about that a little bit.
Oh yeah. And I think there's
Especially with where he once was.
right.
Yeah, and
And
Scotty's
with
got 2 jackets now, and he's got one, and he's been playing there a lot longer.
right. And with the hopefully there's confidence in the wrist. I think that just provides a platform to build confidence in the rest of the game. Because I think, just as we've kind of mentioned throughout, there just wasn't a whole lot of confidence in anything last year. And that leads to results like the ones we saw. So hopefully there's a bit more confidence there, not having to think about kind of subconsciously pain or no pain when you hit the ball. But we'll see. I think that may take a little bit of getting used to at the tournament level. But I don't know. I feel excited too. I feel refreshed, I think is what I feel. And I'm hoping that maybe that's
feel the
also how
same.
Spieth feels, is like, all right, I didn't have this, I couldn't do anything with this game for 3 months. And yeah, it is like what I was meant to do, you know? And that's obviously pretty hopeful, but I feel pretty decent about that being somewhat the case. So it'd be nice to see an early thrust in the schedule. Early
Would be nice.
thrust, some February kind of late afternoon contentions.
God, I'd love that.
So
That'd be chills.
you guys have more things on tap?
Yeah, I have one more on Instagram. Then we can go to. I don't know how many more you have on.
I got a couple.
How likely is a win this season? What would you set it at? Would you say it's plus money, minus money?
Oh, it's plus money.
Plus
You
money.
do? You think it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if he plays this season 10 times, I think he wins a tournament in 4 or 5 of them. So whatever those odds are.
Okay.
I don't know how that plays out, but I think there's a 50, I think there's like
I think it's like 50%.
yeah, I would say maybe, so then yeah, maybe 4 out of 10. Like I think there's a 40% chance. Wow, that's a high number. Maybe 3 out of 10. I would say there's a 30% chance that he wins a tournament this season.
Wow, that's low.
He
Well,
doesn't
I
play
mean,
well enough.
What would
Yeah.
you say Scotties are?
I would
100%.
say there's a 98% chance he wins at least one tournament this year.
I'd say 100 as long as it doesn't get hurt.
And what would you say Rory's are? I think it's a
85
big
to
fall
90.
off.
I think
don't.
he's probably 88.
Oh, I think it's like 70, 68, 70.
What?
Rory, dude, but Rory could just rip off a win pretty easily.
Yeah, he could. But he's gonna waste 2
He's
wins
won
this
every
year.
year since 2017.
Is he really?
Yes.
I think JT
Okay.
gets 2 wins this year,
Oh,
and
don't
that's
say
that pains me.
I
But
set JT at like 60%.
yeah, I think play this season out a bunch of times. I think more often than not, Thomas wins a tournament for sure.
Yeah, I think Spieth's in the 20 to 30%. That's the player he is right now. I mean,
Yeah. He hasn't shown us anything otherwise. Like,
Yeah.
genuinely, we haven't seen, as excited as I am to get, the coach and Mark Immelman and
Big
Doug Smith
perks.
and oh no, yes, Perks, 2000
Lisa.
Players Champion, Lisa Cornwell.
Dan's crew on PGA Tour Live.
As
That's
excited
like
as I
12
am
bucks
to
a
get
month
my
now.
commentators back and watch Spieth on PGA Tour Live, I don't know. Like we have no reason to expect there to be
A thrust.
good golf. Like there, it's not like we've seen it in a long
No,
time. We're basing it on this surgery fixed him, and
which is
that's just not
possible.
a guarantee.
No, I look at the last 3 years and he's played like really, really well one time. One time. And that was when he lost to Fitzpatrick in the playoff.
Yeah,
Like even the Heritage in 22 he won, but he lucked into that, let's be honest.
yeah. Played
So
pretty well
that's
at Ranch in 22 and just
let's
got
see here. That's 77. Well, never mind. That's not true. That's what, 45, 69 events in the last 3 years. And he's played like really, really, really well once. So I don't know what 1 divided by 69 is, but it's a pretty low percentage. So yeah, he's just got to play better golf. And we've been saying like make a change forever, and the change came. It
Yeah.
came in the form of surgery, but it's a change. So
we've been calling for change for years, so we were happy to get what we could get.
many moons.
Not a
But
coach change, not a caddy change, but it's a change.
Ezra asked, like, at what point, if the struggles continued in this season, do you make a significant change in terms of the personnel around you?
He's not going to.
He's not going
He's
to.
not going to.
But at what point do we call for one?
Well, here's my thing: is that
I
think
will never
Spieth,
call for McCormick's head.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just won't.
My thing with Spieth is I think that Spieth is giving himself like a 4-year grace period following the surgery, to like have his team figure it out for him. So I think it would take 4+ years of struggle for anything to happen.
Good Lord.
I think if he struggles mightily, for a year, he's literally going to say the words, "Well, I just had surgery last year."
Yeah.
Does he call it quits? Does Spieth call it quits?
He joins Cornwell in the booth, I think is what happened.
Or he goes to when's he eligible for the senior tour?
20 years.
Will he qualify for the senior tour?
The senior corn fairy.
Yeah.
I will say, I said I would never call for Cam's head, and I believe that, but I'm going to walk that back slightly and say there could be a moment where it's just time for a different voice. But I believe in Cam McCormick. I will always believe in McCormick as a really good coach.
He's a really good coach. He needs to spend a little more time working with his
Well, and I think he
player.
does. I think he does. And the
I
problem
do too. He is a good coach. We give him way too much stuff.
It's just not that good.
The player certainly is the problem.
And I think that's what it is most of the time. Like people want to bash Cam, but at the end of the day, like, or Mikey even, like there were some shots from Mikey last year.
Would Scotty get worse?
Scotty, well, yeah, now he would because he's been coached by the same dude since he was 12.
So was Spieth.
But that's my point. Is like
I hear you.
I believe. I don't know. I think it's just it's mental at this point. Like there needs to be another coach. I think a physical golf swing coach. I think McCormick's really good at his job. I think what made maybe Butch Harmon kind of a good spark was the like mental side of it. It was like, oh, somebody else actually is telling me that I'm doing something well. But we'll see.
He's just got to go out and play golf.
Yeah.
Like
I know. I'm so excited though. I mean, we're probably 6 weeks away from it still too, which is kind of tough, right? Pebbles in February.
No, and is it really?
It is Technically, the dates start in January, so Jordan
Okay.
Spieth does play golf next month,
Yeah.
which
Nice.
is scary, exciting.
Yeah, it's nearly imminent.
It's all the emotions, really.
It's well
But
said. It is all of the emotions.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm looking at the schedule right now, and the Sony starts the 9th. So yeah, what 3 Fridays from now we will be on a little bit of a commitment watch. So
Well, yeah, he's already
we shall
committed to
see.
Pebble. He's basically is waste and
Hold on, how can he commit to Pebble without he's not in the field?
He's not
Like
qualified
he's
for
not
Pebble.
well, he's on their website.
Oh, well, he definitely sponsored exempt. He's
Yeah,
already accepted the sponsor's exemption into
I'm
Pebble.
sure that was the first thing he did.
So that actually might be.
If you look at the field list, every single event this year, it's a signature event. There's gonna be a little star next to him.
Yes, committed pros. Jordan Spieth. Pro is generous.
They probably just put it on the wrong page.
Put it on the wrong year.
Committed AM.
Yes.
Anyway, you guys got any more in the tank?
Let me look. Right, one more.
A lot of them are very similar.
So there's a
So
fair amount of time. Did that. When do you expect Jordan's season started? That
I got how many
probably-
tournaments they'll play this year? I think it'll be the same, like in that
Yeah,
22
22,
to 25-ish range.
Yeah.
He'll play the He never makes any schedule changes, which sucks. It's about time for him to go back over to Australia and play, but will that end up happening?
That would be
Probably
cool.
not.
That would be cool.
Is there anything new on the schedule? I don't think so.
Probably not.
Well,
Don't really expect Monahan to, you
No.
know.
the Wells Fargo is at somewhere different than Quail Hollow. But I don't know what course that is.
The Truist Championship. Is that the Wells Fargo's not a sponsor anymore.
Oh, where's
So
the
it's the
Truist at?
Truist. That's in Philadelphia. Interesting.
That's kind of new. Is it at Aronimink?
It's at the Philadelphia Cricket Club.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Spieth
What
will not
tournament?
be there.
The Truist Championship. It's no longer the Wells Fargo.
That's kind of sad. It's not the Honda anymore.
Well, it's
It
not
hasn't been the
sad, Dan,
Honda.
because if he plays there, I'll probably it's 2 hours.
Could do it for a few
Yeah,
days.
it'd be a lot of freaking driving though.
Let's go Friday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday. I
Yeah,
guess.
I'd find a way to be there, but that's a signature event, so well,
Gotta
who
play to.
knows? Yeah, I wouldn't say, I
Maybe
mean, he's played the Wells Fargo before, so I wouldn't say it's a zero chance he'd play
be
the
pretty
Truist
alpha of
Championship.
Truist to not extend the sponsor invite to
Yeah.
Mr. Spieth if it continues to go sideways. Actually, we want Willie Mack the third in our field this year.
I think that's like the only schedule change, though. I mean, it's not even a change, it's just a sponsor change and a course change.
Yeah, the cricket club sounds cool,
It does.
but
Club.
I
You
don't
want to
even-
know? Speaking of, you want to know what's really weird? Is I just learned this that when I went to Pinehurst, they have two massive croquet courts, fields. Not sure.
Interesting.
Yes, right next to the cradle, like right next to where we were. Honestly, it was probably where that tent was behind the range.
Okay.
That's where
Oh,
they were.
wow.
Interesting.
They're huge. Like they're almost like an acre. It's like almost as big as as that huge putting green.
Yeah.
Really
More
weird.
you know. Speaking of majors, I wonder if we can get that pod to another major this year, all three of us.
Well, I've canceled out the US Open, but I am gonna try and get to the PGA. We'll see. I really need to
Okay.
figure out internship stuff. The PGA looks pretty feasible. It's really
Charlotte
not
would be
that
cool.
bad. What is it? It's like a
Charlotte's
grand.
cool.
It's like $1,000 for the week, and you get food included all week. It's not that bad.
Better than the
pretty
Ryder
good,
Cup
actually.
pricing.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
Take that.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah,
bad play.
I think
You guys,
myself.
I'm also working on the memorial, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, we
Yes.
got a few things
But
behind the scenes that
few things
we're
behind the scenes, but we should have an
grinding
episode.
on.
We should have an episode right after the new year, maybe a schedule prediction
Yeah.
slash expectations season preview.
/ Sony preview, maybe if we get a commitment there. You never know. But there
Maybe.
will be at
Hopefully,
least one more episode before he plays
yeah.
golf again.
Hopefully
So
we get
We know
some
that
news
4
to
months
talk
without
about.
Dan's beautiful face was way too long for the viewers to handle.
The what?
So
your
the
beautiful
4 month
face.
wait to see your beautiful face
Oh,
again was
I
way too long.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like
Even though
slightly.
the lighting is
Yeah, it's not great.
it's
I keep it low key most of the time.
shadow of himself.
He looks great.
But yeah, that should be that.
Yeah, I'm excited. It was fun to chat and
Yeah.
pontificate and
Big
dream,
boy right there.
believe, share hope, enjoy the
said.
high that is Jordan Spieth,
Well said.
or the thought of the
Hopefully
high.
it's the high.
Yes, the drug that is. We are.
It's a
I'm
great
hooked
drug when thrusting.
Right. I am hooked up to my Spieth tubes. In this next 9 months, it's gonna be pretty wild, hopefully. So looking forward
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, it's well said. One more thing, Bob. You'll be at Phoenix, right?
Correct.
Alrighty.
Correct.
That's good to know.
I'll have to figure out how. I'm not really sure what the scene's going to look like compared to last year. I'm hoping to do something similar, but I might also have a lot more commitment towards like
The scene.
actual like social media stuff that I have to like cover for the week. So I'm not sure if it'll be as freelanced in terms of
Spieth's a
following
marquee
Mr.
player,
Spieth.
though, so the people are gonna want to.
Yes.
Well, yeah. We hope that we'll
Could
get
be
to
on the
follow him for
grounds
all of them.
with McGinnis.
Yes.
Johnny Mac in the cart.
Yes.
McGinnis is always a pleasure. I'm trying. I don't think I met McGinnis last year, unfortunately.
I tried
He's
to
tough to find because he's in that
I tried
cart
to
roaming
get a
around.
I
photo
don't.
with John at Pinehurst, and he was
Yes,
locked
you
in.
did.
He was
He
locked
was- he was-
into who was that final pairing?
Was it Pavon and Bryson?
Yeah, he was locked into Pavon, Wale Mathieu, and Bryson.
Dan was calling his name multiple times at Pinehurst, and John did not get
McGinnis was not a fan of the pod.
the fan interaction.
Yeah, McGinnis was dialed. Okay,
He wasn't
had
a
a few
fan of you,
things-
Dan.
well, he didn't even look at me. I think he was just locked into calling golf, and
Yeah, I can respect that. I mean, he is a
That's-
celebrity too, so it's tough to like.
right.
You know,
can't-
he's
if he
always got
sign-
people
If
probably.
he takes a photo for me, he's got to take one for everybody, right? It's
Exactly,
like
and
one of
that's
those.
just that. There's just too many people in the world for him to be able to make that feasible.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. I should have offered him some like water or something as a way to
Got
get
Megan's
in.
free water.
Yeah. Or well, I guess so did we technically. Here's some from the sprout that they have, the water station that they have set up at Pinehurst, Mr. McGinnis. Maybe a
Yeah,
few Skittles,
true.
keep the blood sugar high or like at a good level. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'll work on it. Maybe we'll see him at
Yeah. Well,
Quail.
who knows? We'll figure it out behind the scenes. But if you've made it this far, thank you. It's good to be back. It was great to talk. The lads we've been in contact for the last 4 months. I mean, we've been talking about Spieth probably more than we wanted to, just in our chat, and we haven't forgot. But it's nice to get back here on this platform. Appreciate everyone who's stuck with us through the travesty that was the 2023-2024 season.
Mhm.
But can only go up from here, as they say. So,
Yes.
yes. Thank you. We'll be back right after New Year's, before hopefully the Sony preview. But
Yes.
definitely an episode before we get going into the bulk of the season. So Stay safe. Have a good holidays. Merry Christmas.
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
Take care.
Peace.
Peace.